If you're in the world of project management, you know the PMBOK guide is a cornerstone. But lately, its evolution has been, well, pretty rapid and honestly a little confusing for a lot of us. So today, we're going to demystify that whole journey from version 6 all the way to version 8. Let's jump in.
Have you felt like you're trying to navigate a maze with all these seismic shifts? From the super structured version 6 to the really abstract version 7 and now to version 8? If so, trust me, you are definitely not alone. We're going to chart that exact course right now and make it all crystal clear.
All right, let's kick things off by hopping in our time machine and going back to 2017. We're landing in the era of a version that many of us know inside and out, the classic process-driven PMBOK version 6.
Version 6 was all about structure. I mean, its entire philosophy was built on these 49 very distinct processes, all neatly organized across 10 knowledge areas. Scope, schedule, cost, the usual suspects. The name of the game was control and really, really thorough documentation.
And this is where it gets interesting, because version 6 was really a double-edged sword. For traditional projects, think big construction or industrial work, this rigid structure was fantastic. It worked perfectly with tools like Primavera P6 and earned value management. But, and this is a big but, that exact same rigidity made it a terrible fit for modern, agile teams. It just felt too heavy, too inflexible, and way too focused on paperwork instead of delivering actual value. So that big weakness? It led to a pretty dramatic, you could even say revolutionary, change, and that was the arrival of version 7. And this slide just perfectly shows how radical that shift was. Seriously, version 7 didn't just tweak a few things, it was a total teardown. Those 49 processes we all memorized, gone. The 10 knowledge areas, also gone. And in their place was this brand new philosophy, all centered on delivering value, tailoring your approach, and following a set of principles. Now, on one hand, this was a breath of fresh air for agile and hybrid projects. It was modern, it was flexible, and it finally shifted the focus to outcomes, which is great, but the pendulum swung way too far. For a lot of people, it just became too conceptual, too abstract. Suddenly, project controls and planning got really fuzzy. And those same industries that loved version 6, like oil and gas, found version 7 to be, well, basically unusable.
So the industry was kind of stuck, right? It needed balance. And that is precisely what PMBOK version 8 is here to deliver. It's the smart hybrid, the one that learned from the extremes of the two versions before it.
So here's the most crucial thing to understand. Version 8 isn't another revolution. It's more of a mature synthesis. It takes that practical, structured foundation from version 6 and brilliantly blends it with the modern, value-focused principles from version 7. It's really designed to be the best of both worlds.
Okay, so this best of both worlds idea sounds great, but what does it actually look like? Let's dive in and break down the key changes that really make version 8 such a big deal.
All right, this was one of the biggest headlines, and it definitely caused a lot of chatter. The process groups, which were totally scrapped in version 7, have made a comeback. But, and this is important, with a twist.
See, they're not actually called process groups anymore. Now they're focus areas. And you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Well, that name change signals a massive shift in philosophy. These 5 areas are no longer a rigid, step-by-step sequence you have to follow. Instead, they're flexible guides that you can adapt to any kind of project, including agile.
Okay, quick refresher. Remember the 12 principles that version 7 introduced? The idea was good, but a lot of people found them to be a little broad, a bit too abstract to apply day to day.
So version 8 cuts right through that. It streamlines those 12 principles way down to just 6 core principles. The whole point is for them to be simpler, way more practical, and something you can actually execute on as a project manager.
And one of those new principles is a massive deal. I mean, this is truly a first. For the very first time, sustainability has been elevated to a core project management principle. This means we're now expected to formally consider our project's social, environmental, and economic impact right from the start.
This chart tells such a great story. You see version 6 over there with its 49 rigid processes. Then version 7 with a big old 0. And now look at version 8. It brings back 40 processes. But, and here's the key, they are not the old strict instructions. They're flexible, they're non-prescriptive, and they're designed for you to tailor them to whatever your project needs.
And it's not just about processes. Version 8 really brings the guide into the 21st century. It's talking about critical topics like AI in project management, the use cases, the risks, the ethics. It puts a huge emphasis on building empowered, collaborative teams. And get this? It updates the core language for the first time in 40 years to make it simpler and more universal.
Okay, we have been on quite a journey here, from 6 to 7 and now to 8. So let's zoom out, pull it all together, and look at the big picture of why this whole evolution really matters to every single project manager out there. This table right here, this is the whole story in one shot. You can see the clear journey from that process-based philosophy in version 6 to the principles-based one in version 7, and finally landing on the hybrid model of version 8. And check this out. Notice how version 8 brings back excellent support for control tools like P6 and EVM, while also having very strong support for Agile. That's the balance everyone was asking for.
So if you remember nothing else from this, remember these 3 things. First, version 6 gave us incredible structure and control, but it just wasn't built for the fast-paced, modern, agile world.
Second, version 7 tried to fix that with a modern, value-focused mindset, but it swung too far. It became too abstract and left a big hole where practical project controls used to be.
And finally, this is the most important takeaway. Version 8 delivers that ideal blend we've been talking about. It brings back the practical processes from version 6, combines them with the powerful principles of version 7, and wraps the whole thing in a layer of modern flexibility.
So it's pretty clear that PMBOK 8 delivers the balance we need for today's complex projects. It really does feel like they got it right this time. But it gets you thinking, doesn't it? What challenges will tomorrow's projects bring, and how is project management going to have to evolve all over again? Thanks for joining me.